Morning, everyone. Welcome to VIP Pre-Market Prep. We got lots of data we're going to go through quickly. We had our VIP weekly meetup last night, so that crowdsourced research and social collaboration we did last night informs a lot of what we're going to be talking about this morning. First, before going through the indices, actually, we're just going to go through some major news that are impacting the indices. First, Lockheed Martin, one of the stocks we've been following for a while, along with Northrop Grumman, since the war broke out. Very bad this morning, down 4%. It missed on earnings because of supply chain issues. Okay, so that's Lockheed Martin. It's given back all of its war gains. Now, recently in our community, we've been talking about two better names in the aerospace industry. So you see, Northrop Grumman is down 2% in sympathy, but this has a better valuation. You can check the PE there, a PE of 12.7, whereas Lockheed Martin has a PE of 18. So that's one thing to look at there. If first of all, the supply chain issues, is that going to impact other companies? Is that going to become a macro theme? And second of all, are there better plays in the aerospace industry? So in addition to Northrop Grumman, I've been talking a lot about Elbit Systems, ESLT. I actually started a position in this yesterday. It has the strongest chart of all of those three, and it has also the strongest momentum in terms of new large orders keep hitting the stream every day. So it's going to be interesting to see if this is company specific to Lockheed Martin or the supply chain issues. Is that going to cause a sector issue in the aerospace industry or beyond the aerospace industry? Now, before we get to IBM, we need to mention Apple, because Apple was the reason that the market tanked yesterday. You can see right there. So this tank caused the tank in QQQ and SPY, as you can see right there. Okay. And there. So what happened yesterday was, well, Apple is reporting July 28th next week. And there was a Bloomberg article late morning here yesterday, came out saying that Apple is reducing their budget on some of their teams, hiring budget for some of their teams, and also people who quit or leave. They're not going to replace them on certain teams for the next year's budget, 2023. So that's a sign of a potential worry that Apple has in terms of recession, stagflation, whatnot. And I think that concern should get even more heightened with what we learned from IBM last night. IBM is down significantly, 6%. It is now below the 200-day moving average. It reported earnings last night, but they're reporting FX headwinds because of the currency strength of the USD. They do a lot of enough international business so that they're guiding for an 8% hit to their revenue going forward because of, well, I don't know if it was sort of the full second half of the year or the next quarter. Go take a look at that. But they're guiding for an 8% hit because of foreign currency issues. And Apple is also multinational, so we got to watch for that. I'm a little bit surprised that Apple is up right now in pre-market, even though IBM was down 6%. Now, there was a consideration we saw that we shared in the rooms from someone on social media that IBM had more exposure to Europe, whereas Apple has more exposure to Asia. And the European currency is a lot weaker than the Asian currency. So that's something possibly that's holding it up. But last night on our week pre-market, on our weekly meetup, we talked about at least my long-term target, technical target for about 100, I'll call it this 200-day moving average, 105 to about 112 in this range here, 115-ish, right? Right there is my technical and also, to be honest, in terms of fundamental target, in a way, high level kind of look at fundamentals in terms of, removing this COVID excess that every other company has removed that COVID excess, but Apple has not. The pre-COVID high here was 80. We're still sitting at 150. So this warning that Bloomberg put out, I don't know, did someone suggest in a room, Apple purposely leaked that to Bloomberg in order to soften the blow next week? But this is going to be the story going into next week. Apple is going to be the one moving the indices, QQQ and SPY. But we also have Netflix earnings today after the close. And this is also something that could move markets because Netflix report to really get people worried about recession. I think that this could be qualitatively, sentiment wise, important if Netflix is seeing a worsening of that, or if it's stabilizing, or it's getting better. Whatever the qualitative commentary there, I think could impact the rest of the market simply because Netflix kicked this all off. So it might be used as a barometer for what's to come. So that's the story with Lockheed earnings this morning, IBM last night, Netflix this afternoon, and Apple on July 28th next week. Also, this afternoon after the close, we have Air Test Systems. Some excitement here in pre-market, 5,000 shares worth, up 2%. So this was an old darling of ours. We made a ton of money on. I have a very small position compared to what I had at the peak. So all eyes will be on Air. I don't believe there's any analyst coverage on this. Actually, I got to check that. We'll check that throughout the day if there's any analyst coverage. I don't believe there is. So I think what's going to be important is the sequential numbers if there is no analyst coverage. If there is analyst coverage, what's important is how it does in comparison to that analyst coverage. Maybe there's only one analyst. Actually, let's see if I can quickly check over here on the other screen here. Let's see if we got some analyst coverage over the last 6 months, which I may have forgotten about. No. Well, revenue estimate. Okay, I have one revenue estimate, but no earnings estimate here at Yahoo Finance. Weird. I have a revenue estimate of $20 million. Just so let's see real quick. Let's pull up the quarterly financials, and we can see last quarter they were at $15 million. Is this Air? So we have one estimate of $20 million. I don't know why there's no earnings estimate. So that's going to be interesting to watch. Dario's still watching for news, hasn't hit. Last night we had a VIP update on Clearfield. This has been one of the best performing stocks that was presented to our community, up 30% since it was officially presented by Chris Tarber, up 100% since the CEO came and spoke to us last summer. So that's a CLFD. They have earnings also July 28th. So Chris was able to confirm that directly with management. This information here, at least in the TD app, is incorrect, which says July 20th. It actually is July 28th, the same time as Apple. So we got a great update. If you're a VIP, go ahead and please listen to that recording so you can be prepared for what to expect for earnings next week on July 28th. PLAB and ZIM, I think I talked about these at least during the day yesterday. I picked both of these up because they broke the 20 DMA yesterday. And first of all, PLAB has the fundamentals, right? They had that great earnings report where it ran to like 23. It's probably worth somewhere, fundamentally speaking, in the 20 to 25 range. Now you have the technical break above the 20 DMA, and you also have sentiment tailwinds of what's going on with NVDA and the chip bill that's supposed to be voted on today. Okay, that can lift the entire sector, including stocks like PLAB and Air. So this is when Nancy Pelosi's husband bought $5 million worth recently. So PLAB, I did initiate a position in that. I also sold some covered calls against it. I'm getting aggressive with that, looking for smaller gains, immediately reducing my cost average by $1, limiting my gain here to $21 on PLAB, although I only sold covered calls about 75% of the position, so I have 25% uncovered in case it goes above 21. But yeah, I'm getting more conservative, looking for smaller gains, selling volatility. Even right after I buy position, I'm going to, let's see how it goes, selling covered calls on that. So that's PLAB. The other one is ZIM, a little riskier because this is very recession sensitive ZIM. And we had a nice conversation on this last night. So definitely not saying this is a long-term pick, but it did break the 20 DMA. So it may have momentum for a couple days. And on this one, I sold covered calls on my entire position. I believe it was $50 calls for $1. So I reduced my cost basis by $1 in case it doesn't work out. So that's ZIM. Now, a couple other things we're looking at. KMPH has been more on our radar every day because of Chris's contributions. You can see It's really doing well. There seems to be a lot of new developments at KMPH. This is a stock we collaborated a lot on last year before risk assets imploded. So we're going to see if we can get back into that name in terms of the collaboration and opportunity here. That's KMPH. So if you want to get involved, get into that KMPH research room. A couple other stocks I'm looking at. DermTech was an old stock of ours that we tracked. I haven't talked about this since November, essentially. Um, so this stock, it's a biotech stock. They detect cancer. This one was compared to Cologuard, which is Exact Sciences, I believe. So people are making that comparison a lot when this stock went from like $9 to $81, right? So that didn't work out. Risk assets sold off, and here we are, 90% lower or whatnot. And there's been some action here off the bottoms along with the rest of the market. But this morning in particular caught my eye because it's 23,000 shares, up 5%. Perhaps I do see there's some news. They appointed 2 new board members. Is that what's being reacted to? Is there an upgrade somewhere that hasn't been publicly released yet? Maybe that's what's going on. Worth keeping an eye on. I want to bring 2 other stocks. Every week I participate in a weekly panel at Wolf Financial Spaces. I've come to respect several panelists there. We give stock ideas, weekly play ideas on there, and there are many weekly play ideas shared. And out of the weekly picks that were shared by all the other panelists, these were the 2 I liked the most, and I just wanted to bring it to your attention because it does seem, I don't know, there were 2. Usually, there's so many stocks that there's uniqueness among all of the picks. There's no overlap. This time, 2 people had commented on SHLS, and 2 people had picked LI, right? So first he had that, and both from people I respected. Second, I did like the charts as well as they were talking about them. Look at SHLS. Look at this action. Heavy volume. It dives down to 14, but it takes it all back and then goes above it. I found that to be very interesting. I don't know the catalyst behind this, what's going on. So this is not my type of trade. This is a technical only trade. Okay. You can review the news. I was seeing there's a lot of analyst coverage on this, a lot of price target revisions on this recently. It does seem to be a profitable tech company. I don't know much about it. So I'm probably not going to take this because it's a technical only indicator that people are watching. But in case you're interested in that, you can take that one. You can look into it. Another one last night, which was shared, I found really interesting, was LI. I found this interesting because the chart has been so strong. Look at this relative strength. This is apparently a Chinese EV company. This relative strength is amazing. I mean, it's near 52-week highs. And if you look back in the past 5 years, look at this 5-year chart. It's also near the highs. So, I mean, I have not found a chart like this in forever, except maybe, some of our picks like Clearfield also has a great chart, right? Celsius has a great chart. There's very few. So here's another one with a great chart. And a couple traders saw something they liked in terms of the technicals. I see it bouncing off the 20 DMA near 52-week high. So I'm just throwing these out there for the benefit, since I was exposed to it anyway, passing it along. And you can, what is the 52-week high here? 41.49. So this is going to be an interesting one to watch. I'm probably not going to play either of these because they don't fit my criteria for trades. In story trading, I need to understand the reasons why it's doing that, whether it's catalyst, sentiment, fundamentals, or a combination of all of them. That requires a lot of deep research and collaboration. And since I don't have that on those, I'm not going to go for it. But maybe someone has a story for us to share in the community quickly this morning on LI and SHLS for us to bring understanding to these price movements, bring understanding to why SHLS quickly went down to 14 and came right back. If we can understand all of that, that can give story traders greater conviction to enter the trade. So I don't have that conviction. I won't be doing it, but for the technical traders, you can definitely look at that. So that's all we got. And I got to say, last night we talked about the indices, and I always bring this up, the 200-week moving average. And I think this Apple report is going to be extremely important next week. If they have a bad report, if they guide poorly, we could break down below the 200-week moving average, and it could be additional even quarters of pain, months to quarters of pain. So that's a very important report. Question is, how much is priced in? And the question is, can Apple really outperform and escape the headwinds that IBM has, escape the consumer demand headwinds that Netflix, escape all that because they have lots of levers to pull, or is it also going to hit them and bring down the major indices? I think we're entering a period of unknowns and high risks, and I'm personally going to be reducing my risk. I've been starting to raise some cash yesterday, aggressively selling covered calls because I'm expecting some volatility going into the meat of earnings next week. Of course, we have Netflix and Tesla this week, but I think Apple is obviously going to be the one that impacts the entire market. So that's the story we got for you. Let's see if there's any news that came out in the last 15 minutes. Nothing. I'm still waiting on DRIO. A little bit upset at this point with management for adamantly making those promises or guidance, for that big, huge deal to hit by June 30th. It's now July 19th. It can be a little late. I understand that. It can even be a few months late. I understand that. But when you quadruple down on a conference call and in various other comments that it's happening by the end of Q2, well, that obviously builds an expectation and we'd like to see that met. Sometimes management is much more optimistic than they should be, but we'll have to wait and see on this one. So that's the story with DRIO. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. It's Tuesday, so Wednesday we'll have our happy hour. Actually, you know what? Today we may just jump on Zoom for our VIPs in after hours to listen to the AIR conference call together. That might be very interesting. All right. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great day.